welcome to another brand new episode here on 1950's Farm. So, as you know, we left the last episode with me mowing the grass and, the hired helper mowing the grass and me tedding and raking behind. Well, the raking, is now nearly finished. So this episode is going to see us obviously finish off the raking, and then we'll do the baling. Probably won't get all the baling done because it's a pretty big field, to be fair. And I did make I kind of originally thought that it would make it easier to go across the field rather than the full length of the field, but in truth I think it's made it a much bigger field than what it would have been if I'd just gone full length. It seems to have taken a very long time to have done it this way, so I might have been better off, as I say, just doing it full lengths from one end to the other. The reason I didn't, but it was only afterwards that it kind of occurred to me that it wouldn't have mattered either way. The reason I didn't was because to the left there's a fence, so that separates our soybean field from this field. There's a fence there, and I kind of sort of thought, well, I don't want the helper turning towards the fence because the likelihood is that being the hired helper, he's going to get tangled in the fence. So I did it, but then I kind of sort of after a while realised, well, actually I did sort of 4, 5, 6 breeds around the outside, and that would have kept him away from the fence. So I could have done it that way in the end, but never mind. As I said in the Carmelan's video on Saturday, I think it was, on Saturday's video, it's been a very challenging sort of last week and a little bit personally. So I'm sort of brain's kind of not thinking, and I'm not sort of organising as good as what I should be. But hopefully we should be getting back to some sort of normality, hopefully, and we should get them back to thinking clearly and doing the right things. But anyway, it is what it is, and as I say, we're doing it this way, but with hindsight it probably wasn't the best direction to do the field, just because, as I say, it's made it a very short field, and it seems to have taken sort of twice as long. So, but never mind. But anyway, we'll get these baled. We'll get this baled, and then in the next episode, I may have an episode where I collect the bales. I may do it off camera. I'm not sure yet. And I say I may do it off camera just because I want to kind of keep the videos with moving the year forward, because obviously, you know, we've got a long way to go, because, you know, we've got to get to sort of, if we're able to get there this year, we've got to get to 2024, or, you know, or by the time, you know, we sort of may be getting to late 24 and early 25. So we've got to keep these episodes moving. And as well, the one thing, and being a story writer, I know that you have to keep the narrative, you know, moving forward, because otherwise what happens is you get stuck in a rut and it becomes a little bit kind of sort of same old and repetitive, and I kind of got that feeling from probably the first sort of 10 or 15 episodes that we'd kind of, or I'd kind of, I always include you like it's your fault, but I'd kind of settled into a kind of rutty routine on the game, and it felt a little bit stagnated, and the viewing figures for this series has gone down quite dramatically from what it was you know, a month or two ago. So I think it's time that we don't skip anything, we don't leave anything out, but at the same time, you know, we do keep the narrative moving forward at a reasonably good pace, because, you know, the 50s, the world was recovering, you know, and I think even in sort of real life terms, I think the 50s did become a repetitive sort of era, because or decade, because the world was rebuilding, and then it was kind of, you rebuild one part, you rebuild the next part, and you go again and again and again and again. But as you get through the 60s, I think then the farms that were going to make it have made it, and they're now farming on a fairly larger scale. The people that had taken up the offer that weren't going to make it, they were being bought by the people that were going to make it. And and I think it had the snowball effect, and that certainly happened here in Britain as well, where a lot, although there was no incentives in Britain, as far as I can tell, I have tried to search it, but I can't find anything yet about it. But you know, smallholders or smallholdings, and people like that, they're still around, but the bigger farms, certainly the farm that I work for, the second farm that I work for, because I'm obviously really interested in history and everything like that. I at my interview, I asked quite a lot of questions, although I was sort of kind of headhunted a little bit by the farm manager stopping at the end of the field that I was ploughing for the farm I was working for at the time, and then basically saying, come down. But it ended up being really like an interview, and I started asking them, and then when you go sort of into the staff areas of the farm, you see all the pictures on the walls and the certificates and the awards and everything else that they've got, and because I'm interested, and so I'd sort of would stand there and read them, and then ask questions and what have you, and Stafford, who owned the farm, or his father owned the farm, but who had sort of taken over from his dad, had sort of said that it was really the 60s that made and broke a lot of the farms that are around today. His dad realised the importance of just going and not stopping or settling at where they were. Just keep going, just keep pushing, and of course I guess it comes at huge risk, because if the old saying is, if you bite off more than you can chew, then you're sort of in trouble. And but a lot of the farms that, as I say, are of large acreage today, it was the 60s and going into the 70s, and I suppose even the 80s. Well, I guess all the way through, really, from the 60s. They've just gone from strength to strength. I mean, I went to the farm, as you know, the last bank holiday Monday, and got to drive my tractor for the last time. And I've sort of been talking with Adrian since, because he watches my videos and stuff. And I've been talking with him since, and the farm's all set to acquire another small farm that's gone out of business, and that's another 3,500 acres nearly that is going to be added, to their acreage, and that's across the board. I know that other farms in the area, are just buying land, and contrary to a lot of people's belief, certainly the people that I know and talk to within the village where I live, that think that these farmers are just buying land and building houses. They're not. They're buying land and they're growing, premium, crops, whether it be vegetable, whether it be, cereals, grains, pulses, and, anything like that, so it's a fast moving time. And as I say, that's kind of what happened to Harry and the dairy, and different things like that. And, they just kept going. Harry was lucky. I mean, Harry, in the sort of biography type thing that I've read about his farm, that it was the contracting that did him, whereas the dairy did do it all of their own, sort of accord, really, because they were, farming for themselves only, but acquiring land as and when it came available. Whereas Harry, knew at the beginning he didn't have the finances for that, so he went contracting, because if people were taking on more and more land, they were going to need more and more tractors and more, workers, and I think Harry not only went out on tractors with workers to do the work, but I think he also supplied lots of farms with workers if they didn't need the machinery. So if they were like hoeing sugar beet or doing sort of jobs like that, I think Harry was able to provide workers to those farms. And that was how sort of Harry grew. But now they do still do contracting. From what I can tell, it's quite choosy contracting. They sort of have got the people that they quite like going out and helping and doing work for, but they're not sort of open to everyone and anyone, because they do now have their own land. They have now their own dairy herd themselves. Pigs, a huge amount of pigs. And things like that, and as well, as big acreages of combinable crops, soybeans, corn, that sort of thing. I think they grow sorghum as well. Um, so, as I say, but that for Harry, that came later. That started to come through the 60s and into the 70s. So it's a long road ahead, but it's enjoyable, and it's not going to be long before Harry does indeed buy another tractor. So he talks fondly about the tractor that they buy next. And for now, I'm not gonna say what it is, for two reasons. One is I might not be able to find one, and so I'm gonna have to use something very similar. And two is, if I do find one, I have to test it to make sure that it's not gonna ruin my, the save or my game or whatever. So it's not got errors in it. But so as I say, Harry does get another tractor, and that's when the contracting really sort of starts to take off for him. That quite quickly he realises that he does need a third tractor that's capable of doing work not only at his farm but also out in the field, so to speak, at other farms. So, but so it's a exciting time ahead. But for now, I'm going to leave you with some lovely music, and I'm going to crack on with rowing this up, and then I'm going to get the baler, and we're going to bale it. And then, as I say, I don't think we'll get all of it baled in this episode, but we will get a largish chunk done, hopefully. Who knows? I mean, we might do. Baling should be a little bit quicker than this, but yeah, we'll wait and see what happens. But for now, as I say, we'll do a bit of time lapse, and then we'll meet again at some point in a little while. Bye for now. And I'm back. How are we all going? So as you can see, we're getting well through this field now. We're doing really well. We've certainly produced a lot of bales. It's definitely yielded more than what I thought it was going to. But yeah, overall, very happy with what's gone on here. That bale shed should be nice and full. And as I say, we've got another grass field that we can cut if we want to. We've obviously at the moment still got our big grass field, but that's probably going to be used more for our cattle than the dairies now. And yeah, as I say, it's gone very well. So the bow shed should be very full, and we must as well at some point get that big cattle field that big grass field that we've got on our farm. We need to get half of that ploughed up so that we can start cropping that, or buying the small little field that's next door to that grass field. There is a small field there. I don't want big fields for Harry, because Harry at that point sort of says that he was only interested in buying small amounts of land. He wasn't really earning the money to pay people to work for him or anything like that. So it was basically sort of friends and family helping him out when he was sort of really busy. But he just couldn't afford to take on permanent full-time staff. So as I say, we might buy the little field next door, because again, it's something that he would have been able to have farmed by himself. To be fair, I'm really happy with the location that I've chosen for the two farms, because with the dairy and the size of the fields and everything like that, it highlights, or is starting to highlight, sort of how big a farm they were and are now. And I mean, now they're even bigger. It also has helped to kind of give me that feeling of, I can't really cope working full-time on a farm and try and farm my farm. It's given me that sort of, I think, feeling and the sort of sense that Harry had, and the realisation that Harry had, that he couldn't carry on doing both. It had to be really one or the other. Either he was going to have a hobby farm where he would just do little bits and pieces and sort of kind of stay as he was on his own little bit of land, or he was going to sort of spread out. And the dairy was, as I say, they were, even from the 1950s, they were just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and increasing their acreage, increasing the herds. I mean, it'll only be another 2 years before we're going to have to lay down another cow paddock for them, because that was what they did. And as I say, now they're off the top of my head, I think it's about 1,500 to 3,000 milking cattle. I use the two numbers that I use because I can't remember exactly what it is. I know I can't remember if it's 1,500 beef stock and 3,000 dairy, or 1,500 dairy and 3,000 beef stock. I can't remember which way round it is, but I mean, we're talking massive numbers. And pigs as well. Pigs is something that they do on behalf of firms or companies, and so they just house them and feed them, and then the companies arrange their sort of sale, if you like, and what have you, and it goes from there. Whereas Harry, his pigs are his pigs. He sort of recognised that there is an industry, or a good business to be had by having pigs, and so he does have his own pigs. But but anyway, as I say, I'm pretty pleased with the way it's gone today, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to end this episode here. We're not too far from the end now, but we are quite still quite a little way to go. We're probably about halfway now through the field, or a little bit over halfway. But And say I'm going to leave the episode here because unfortunately it's the same old story, but I have had a memory warning, so my memory is about to go again. So if you haven't done already, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. As I always say, it really does help me, it helps the channel, and also helps me to achieve this month's target, which is 400 subscribers by the 1st of July, and we're on track to achieve that. And for that, I sort of thank everybody that has subscribed. If you haven't already, please consider. It's very easy to do. Just tick that little black box, and then you'll get notified every time I drop a video. And and as I say, it helps to support the channel. It helps to support me, and in the future, as we go through and I get better at this and get more confident, then other great stuff will happen. We'll do some live streaming. We'll do lots of sort of good things. There will be a Discord channel that I'm hoping to set up. That will then help to make it a little bit more of a community as well. So there's plenty of things that are going to be happening over the coming months. So as I say, if you haven't already, please consider just ticking and subscribing, because it really, as I say, does help. But all that's left for me to say is thanks ever so much for joining me on this episode. I've really enjoyed having your company, and I really hope to see you again on the next episode. Bye for now.